and welcome to another edition of Quoth the Raven. I'm your host, Louis Bright Raven, 28-year veteran of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, as a writer, editor, and artist. And this week we are going to be doing questions and answers session and looking at previews catalog from last week and a little bit of reviews and maybe if we got time, we'll do a little bit of crowdfunding review and looking around in the crowdfunding scene as well. So before we get started, got to do our usual bit about COPPA. In accordance with the new COPPA regulations, this episode of Quoth the Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content we will feature is kid-friendly, the context of the episodes address and educate older teens and adults to inform them of said content for them to research and as consumers in service of the youth of America or other countries, if you happen to be viewing in other countries. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc. There is the possibility of adult language present on our episode as well. Almost always is. Rated TV 16 and up. So, let's start with our questions this week. And let's see what they got for us. Alicia asks, I know you don't like to talk about politics, but I was wondering if you had any thoughts about the Democratic campaigns so far. Well, you're right. I don't like to talk about politics very much. Not. I guess, for all of the discussion that I see online from the comics community, from my friends online, about the Democratic goings on, it's very confusing to see how the campaigns have fared. I would have thought that Elizabeth Warren would have done much better than she seemed to have done, because almost everybody I saw online was talking more about supporting her than her or Bernie Sanders, one of the two. And almost nobody was talking about supporting Biden. And then all of a sudden, well, you all saw what happened. Biden got most of the support practically. So, I don't know. This isn't really a politician type thing. It's not a politics show. I don't really want to discuss it, like you say, Alicia. I'm just disappointed, I guess, in and so are a lot of other people I've seen online. So, I guess, we'll see what happens as we move forward into the election. So, yeah, whatever. Our next question is from Sean M. Is the coronavirus something you are worried about as a creator, given how much it might affect your convention schedule? That's a very good question. Right now, it doesn't affect me because I don't have a convention schedule right at this moment planned. But in general, yes, it's a very serious subject matter for most of us in the industry. Um, as you may have heard, Emerald City Con out in Seattle just got canceled, more or less. I mean, technically they're still running it, but they're giving everybody refunds, as the majority of publishers and guest creators and stuff have pretty much canceled out and decided not to go to the show. And I guess there's a state of emergency that's been announced for the state of Washington as well, due to the coronavirus situation. So, yes, I think that there is going to be a concern for people for that for the rest of the year. Um, I think it's going to affect all the convention season for the remainder of the year. Um, but that having been said, I think we can adjust to that. We can use our podcasts and start doing group sessions where we can have online um, sort of, people coming to the podcast as a kind of a convention, and have a lot of guests, 5 or 6 guests, 7 guest artists on a show, and you guys can commission pieces from us before and after shows, or during conventions, or during a podcast, or whatever, that way. And do it online. It's not the same as in person, obviously, but you know, it's a workaround if nothing else. So, as far as finances go, we can find ways to make it work. Mm-hmm. So, but I think the main thing that's going to affect us is we'll miss out on the socialization, because all of us artists and creators, um, we want to live. A lot of us live day to day at the drawing board or at the computer, long hours, and we don't. Yes, we see our families, but if we're single, or if we don't have a lot of outside social time, the conventions are our social functions, and that can be a little bit depressing not having that time. But we'll like I said, we'll find alternative methods one way or another. That was a good question, Sean. Next question. Is from George in Columbia, South Carolina. And he asks, can you do a Bright Raven version of what DC would look like? It says would like. It should say would look like if you ran the company as an episode, like a fantasy booking what if type game. Um, there's a lot of people who are doing columns or doing podcasts about what they would do if they were running DC, in the light of recent events with the departure of Dan DiDio. I'm really not that type of person that does the fantasy booking, fantasy stuff, because I'm more of a realist. And I look at it from a very different perspective than as a fan. I have all the editors, the management, 10 writers per book, 10 pencilers per book. It's like, because, and the reason I do that is because, practically speaking, it's not like, oh, I'm going to put so-and-so on a book and they're going to say yes. Because in reality, people aren't always available. In reality, someone might not want to do the book I want to put them on. So I'm always thinking of it in a very realistic sense in my head, and so I can't really do fantasy booking in that respect. It would just it wouldn't be an episode. It would just be yeah, it would take me forever. No, sorry. um, even if I just did my top picks, it would just. Maybe if I had a bunch of other people that came on the show and we did it as a group and we could all like debate something or something. And, I could take a couple of books and other people could have other books or something, but not by myself. I just, no. Sorry, George. Tom asks, what if what just happened at DC were to happen at Marvel and Joe Quesada were removed from power? What effect would that have on the publishing arm, in your opinion? Well, technically, when Kevin Feige was put in charge of Marvel Entertainment as a whole, even though Joe Quesada wasn't fired from his position and he still has power in the company, so it's not exactly the same situation as what Dan DiDio is. It is a similar situation as what, technically Kevin Feige has the authority to remove Joe and CB and the others if he so chose. So, in a way, even though he's not at the exact same place as Dan DiDio, they're incrementally moving towards that direction with Kevin Feige getting into that power, into the position of power that Kevin Feige is in. So, I don't really see that much difference right now. Because to me, Kevin Feige right now is the face of the company, more so than Joe. Joe's getting more and more backstage, being quiet more, which is probably a good thing for him. But who knows? But no, I'm not saying that Joe's going to get fired anytime soon. I don't want to see him get fired necessarily. Not that I particularly like Joe. Joe has done some kind of shady things with me in the past, and it would be kind of a comeuppance, but at the same time, it wouldn't like fix anything that happened to me in the past either. So what's the point? People make bad decisions at different times, and everybody's going to have things happen. So I think if Kevin Feige was going to run the publishing arm himself, and I don't think he wants to, but if he was, you would see a complete turnover at the top. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime in the immediate foreseeable future. Depressed asks, is there anything quote unquote positive going on in comics right now? Everything seems so negative. What with DC trying to spin control their firing of Dan DiDio, Comicsgate hate, this creator or that getting into trouble, or other online vitriol. Have you any good news for us, Raven? Well, sure. There is some good news. Heavy Metal Magazine was sold to new ownership recently, and they got a new publisher in charge. His name's David Irwin. Kevin Eastman has been replaced. In other words, David was formerly in charge at Hasbro for the Transformers franchise, and he worked from 1995 to 2011 at DC as the executive creator creative director. So he's got some experience as a publisher, and he knows comics. And they're going to be basically building the heavy metal brand there. And I'm looking forward to seeing where that that brand goes. Um, at Dark Horse, 3 different editors were promoted. Katie O'Brien, who has been working with the Magnola brand, the Magnola division, Hellboy and BPRD and all those. She was promoted to a full-time editor. Um, Rachel Roberts, who works on the Avatar and Korra licenses, was also promoted. And Brett Israel, who worked on No One Left to Fight, was also promoted. So that's cool. And we've seen a couple of new publishers like Behemoth Comics that's come out recently. They just had um, a new book that was just listed, and we're going to talk about their book later in the episode tonight. And there's a couple of other new publishers coming out, which is a good thing. Also, Midtown Comics in New York just opened a brand new expansion branch, I guess you'd call it, of their stores. They have 3 branches in the Manhattan area, and I guess they're going to be opening a new branch that's opening this weekend in the Astoria, Queens area. And I guess it's only open on the weekends for now. But, that's a start. And it's, so they're expanding. And that's a good thing in this industry because in this day and age when we're seeing more retailers downsizing or closing shop entirely, to see a store being successful enough to be able to expand and open a new, branch is a good thing. So yeah, there are some positive news here and there. Depressed. So I hope I lightened your mood a little bit today. See other questions we have. Multiple parties asks, what happened to the weekend show that was supposed to air last weekend? Basically, I got run down, a little bit under the weather, and slept through about 6 hours of work time that I would have taken to put the show together. And I just didn't feel up to it. So I I apologize for that. In fact, this episode's a little bit shortened, probably because I'm still a little bit under the weather. I'm not sick, but I'm just, I don't know, just a little bit worn down. I think the weather's been kind of crappy lately here in the local area. It's been very rainy, a lot the past week and a half or so, and it's just, it wears you out a little bit. So that's that's the main reason thing there. Sorry about that. So if you have other questions, you can email them to quotheraven, lbr72@gmail.com, subject QTR questions. Please indicate whether or not you want your name and locale read on air. Let's see. We're going to start with our reviews, straight to the reviews, because I don't think we've had a whole lot of stuff going on uh, other than the questions, this thing. Um, yeah. Okay. We'll start with our DC reviews, I guess, this week. And we'll start with the Dollar Comics Swamp Thing. Let me get the brand out of there for a minute. Number one, for $1, it's $1 book. It's a reprint. Publisher DC Comics. The writers Alan Moore. Artists were Rick Veitch and Alfredo Alcala. The colorist is Adrian Roy. Letterer is John Costanza. The editor was Karen Berger. It was originally published as Swamp Thing Volume 2, number 57 from February of 87. And what it's about is Adam Strange and Swamp Thing's consciousness. That's a hard word to say. Consciousnesses. I probably can't even say it right. They collide as Adam is riding the Zeta beam to the planet Ran while Swampy is transporting across the outer dimensional green. They both land on Ran, and Swamp Thing must try to survive on an alien planet. Swamp Thing tries to communicate with the Ranians, who in turn send Adam to confront him, and they fight. Recommended for ages 17 and up, and the rating is 3 out of 5 stars. Let's just do a quick zip through to when Adam arrives on Ran there, and his wife finds him. And you really can't see, but that little sprout there in the bottom right corner is Swamp Thing growing out of the ground there. But yes, it wasn't a bad issue. The main reason it was released in this particular one shot was in conjunction with the new Strange Adventures #1 that we will also be reviewing shortly. That came out this week. And yeah, I know I've read it before because I've got most of the Swamp Things in trade collections. But revisiting it, the one thing that kind of annoyed me was it's not a done in one story. It leaves you on a cliffhanger, and it kind of like says story continues in a trade. So it's like, yeah, here's your $1 lead in. Now go buy the $20 trade to get the rest of the story. Yeah, it just kind of left me a little bit of a I don't know. I just wanted to smack somebody, Not cool. DC, not cool. But the story was okay. The other thing was the Ranians. Alan Moore writes the scripts that you don't know what they're saying because they speak in a different language, and it's kind of interesting, but yet I don't know. I guess I would say it's just not the best thing I've ever seen from Alan Moore. Rick Veitch and Alfredo Alcala did some really nice artwork for it, and that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was because the story wasn't the best, but the art carries it pretty well to make it a little bit above average. So 3 out of 5 was good for it, and we'll look again at the art real quick. And you got to remember this was back in the newsprint era. And Alcala is one of those old school I'm trying to think here. Argentinians, I believe. Not Filipino, really. But now, speaking of the aforementioned strange adventures I had mentioned, we'll talk about that one next. That came out this week as well. It is $4.99. The publisher is the DC Comics to their Black Label Mature Readers brand. The writer is Tom King. The artists are Mitch Gerards and Evan Shaner. The genre is science fiction mystery. It was released yesterday, March 4th, 2020, and what it's about is Adam Strange is back on Earth, a decorated hero of the Ron-Thanagar War and the battle against the Pit. He is now a best-selling author, having written his memoirs of that harrowing experience. But forces conspire against him, claim that he is no hero, but instead a liar and a murderer. And he must figure out who before they destroy him or he destroys himself. Because it is the Black Label brand, it is recommended for ages 17 and up. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I got the clean Evan Doc Shamer cover because it was prettier than the Mitch Gerard's cover. I didn't really like the other one. But I'll show you both their artwork here in a minute. I believe on the left is Gerard, and on the right is Shaner, if I'm not mistaken. Throughout the book, they kind of go flipping back and forth with as some of the stories taking place on Ran, and some of the stories are taking place on Earth. And what's going on is in the story, as he's doing a book tour, selling his book. A disgruntled fan confronts him, saying that he knows the truth and that you basically mass murdered, depict, and blah 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 blah. And there is now a video that pops up that person has head blown off by a laser gun, and it is implied that Adam Strange did it. And Adam Strange doesn't know what to do about this because now he is now a suspect of this. And he goes to Batman. Batman says, I can't investigate this because I'm too close to you, but I will do what I can to find someone else. And at the end of the first issue, Mr. Terrific, Michael Holt, is introduced to him. And now Mr. Terrific is going to be investigating the crime and try to clear Adam Strange's name of this murder. And so it's very interesting. We don't really know what's going to actually go on. It's all set up by King. I'm not really a fan of Tom King's writing that much, as many other fans of comics are. He's a very popular writer right now. He's been popular on Batman and popular for the Vision family stuff that he did recently. Some other stuff he's done. I'm not saying he's a bad writer. He's just not normally my cuppa, but I thought I'd try this, mostly because I wanted to see the Evan Shaner art. And so far, it's a good start. I want to see where it goes. So 4 out of 5 isn't bad, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it leads. We'll see where it goes, and future issues. And that is all of our DC stuff. Everything else that I happened to be able to review this week is creator owned or independent publishing. We're going to start with Pink Lemonade number 2. You might remember that we did an episode with the creator, Nick Cagnetti, last year for promoting issue number 1. This is the second issue from publisher It's Alive. It just came out yesterday. This is one of the covers. There's also another alternative cover, but this is the cover I preferred. Genre is science fiction fantasy. And what it's about is our heroine, Pink Lemonade, is tricked by Barzabelli Jr. into fighting Ron Radical as part and parcel of selling her likeness to Hollywood. Can she play the game and outwit the system, or will she just get chewed up and spit out like so many wannabes? Recommended for ages 12 and up, and I give it a 5-star rating. The reason I give it a 5-star rating is because it is between number 1 and number 2. Both stories really are tightly compact, tell a complete story, but have something that leaves you wanting to come back and read more. In an industry that has gotten so enamored with decompressed storytelling, where it takes you 6 issues to tell what you should be able to tell in one story, this guy gets it. He knows how to put everything together concisely and compact and get it to you. Here it is. And that's a rarity in this business, it seems. I don't know if it's just because he's just an old school, old soul type comics guy. He's not that old of a person. He just seems to have a very classic, late golden age, late silver age, early bronze age mentality about how he likes to tell stories, and we need more of that in the market. The other thing is the message that he's conveying in the comic. And I'll get into the story. I want to get into the artwork here a little bit here. Let me go ahead and show the 2-page spread here. In this particular story, she was just now recently tricked into signing a contract. She thought she was signing an autograph for a fan, but it was actually the contract. And so now they're filming the fight scene between her and Ron Radical. And she's like, I don't even really want to fight this guy. We're just starting to become friends. You know, what is this? You know, we're in the same boat. And he shoots her anyway because, well, now you're in the same, you know, we both signed this. What is this? Yeah. So you know, it's just kind of really kind of interesting stuff going on here with that. Plus, you know, the art has that very interesting Mike Allred, Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby vibe going on with it as well. But basically, for the story, Nick gets it to the point where he knows how to tell the story and get the point across that it's about keeping your own identity. And because Ron Radical has lost his identity because he signed his likeness and his soul and his personality and everything away to Hollywood. And it's also kind of a story of that, but it's also symbolic of what we as creators go through when we're dealing with being an artist and being creators versus achieving what is perceived as success, and what is it worth the sacrifice of achieving what is perceived as success if we lose who we are along the way. So there's a lot of different um, levels of story that are there, and it's all there in one very tight package, and it's all wrapped up and concise and in a bow, and it's all there, and that's the way comics should be done. So great job, Nick. Way to do it. And can't recommend the book enough. So yeah, good job. Our next book is probably, let's see what we gotta find here. I gotta okay. Our next book is called Project Icarus, and the publisher, it's $3.99, and the publisher is Black Box Comics. The story is by Andy Owens. The art is by Patrick Blaine and Andy Owens. Andy actually inks the interior art, and Patrick does the interior art, and the cover art that you see here is Patrick doing digital painting. I'll show you what the interior art looks like in just a moment. The computer colors on the interior is by Claudia Giuliani and Tio Gonzalez. The lettering is Desi Siente. The genre is urban science fiction and crime. It was originally released in January 2020. And what it's about is former cop turned corrections officer Max Green is unknowingly thrown into a world of dark espionage when an experiment on the infamous serial killer, the slasher, goes horribly wrong. Now imbued with abilities himself, he seeks not only to find not only this killer, but the person or organization behind the experiment, parties who have no compunction against killing him and all that he loves. Recommended for ages 15 and up, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, mostly because it's all set up in the first issue, and it's not bad, but it needs it needs a little bit more story to it than what we got. But it's not bad for a first issue. I'll go ahead and show you the artwork. This is after the attack. He's already he's being told that here's some money and stuff, and forget everything that happened to you. And the reason he's holding his face is because the slasher slashed his face completely across, like Wolverine or like Sabretooth right across his face before he blacked out. But before he did that, the slasher injected him with the experimental serum, which obviously it healed him. So we'll see what happens next. Because now, because his fellow partner, the fellow corrections officer, who is now dead along with his family, the correction off his buddy's family, not his family necessarily, to be accurate. He has decided now to, find out what's going on and take action. So I'm waiting to see. I thought issue 2 had come out, but I guess for some reason my comic shop didn't get it, so I'm waiting for it to come in so I can see what the next issue is. So hopefully I'll get it. With these smaller press publishers, it's a little more difficult to get the issues, but I'll try. The main reason I got this book is because I am friends with Patrick. I've been friends with Patrick for 20 years now, I guess. I was looking forward to seeing his art, and his art's good. But story, It needs a little work. We'll wait and see where it goes, though. Our next book is Ragnarok, Breaking of Helheim #4. It's $4.99. The publisher is IDW Publishing. The writer-artist is Walt Simonson. The colorist is Laura Martin. The letterer is John Workman. Genre is fantasy. The release date was yesterday, March 4th, 2020. And what it's about is Walt Simonson is continuing his tour de force as he visits the realms of Asgard once more, this time without the Marvel overlords. And in this issue, Thor faces the wolves of Helheim. They are, pardon me about the chair squeaking there, Viking warriors. That is, the wolves of Helheim are Viking warriors who fought in the final battle there against the Twilight of the Gods battle there. But they were denied Valhalla and were turned into wolves, and they patrol the Dusklands. And this is recommended for ages 16 and up. I give it 5 stars. Here is a scene where he meets one of the wolves, and he has just rescued the wolf from one of the snake pit enemies, but it's too late. His ribs are crushed, and here comes a bunch more serpents, and he fends them off, or begins to fend them off, but he can't really do a full lightning strike, because if he does, he'll fry the wolf. And then the rest of the wolf pack comes, and they chase off the serpents, but then the wolf pack is kind of like against him, because they feel like he didn't, he failed them because he wasn't there at the final battle, and that he betrayed them. And so the rest of the story is, them explaining what's going on there. Very good episode or issue. There's only 2 more issues of this particular story arc of Ragnarok left. It is really one of the better things IDW publishes. Really enjoying it. I wish more people bought it. People are always talking about how they love, 80s Marvel and stuff like 80s Thor when Simonson was running it. And I just don't understand why people don't buy this then, because this is, him doing even better job than what he did back then. It's more pure. It's more true to the mythology of the Asgardian mythology than what he could do with Marvel. So I don't know. I just don't get it. I wish that more people were reading it, but really great stuff by Walt. Let's see what else we got this week. Yes, our library pick this week: Strong Female Protagonist, books 1 and 2. It is a web comic, but it has been collected. It was funded through Kickstarter and then released through Top Shelf Productions. The writer is Brennan Lee Mulligan, and the artist is Molly Ostertag. The genre is superhero / slice of life. It was originally released, the first trade collection, book 1 on the left, with the blue cover, in 2015, book 2 in 2017. What it's about is Allison Green used to be the teenage superhero known as Mega Girl, but after a confrontation with her arch nemesis Menace, she chooses to put up the costume and live a normal life and be a college student. Only life isn't her plans. These are her adventures. I'm not going to get into all the details of it. This is an online comic that you can check out at https colon slash strongfemaleprotagonist.com. It is recommended for ages 14 and up. I give it a 5-star rating. It is a perfect blend of looking at what it is that actually makes a person a hero, and what society expects of us as if you were going to be in that personification of a superhero, as it were. She was a sidekick, and then she was a superhero, and she's like a teenager, and she's like, "Why are you asking me of this? I'm quitting. The heck with this, type thing." And she let her identity be known, and she retired from active heroics from that reason. And it's very much a coming of age, but also just a person growing up and trying to figure out who they are and what their place in the world is, but also what their values and morals and ethics are, and what those values mean and what those ethics mean, and when do you can you compromise them? When do you compromise them? And if you do compromise them, does that mean what does that really mean you have that moral compass? Or there's a lot of questions and not ambiguity, but I mean just a lot of philosophical layers to the context of what's being done in the book. Very well written. That I just love seeing this. There's a character in the book called Farrell. She was a criminal, and she decides after a while that she doesn't want to be a criminal anymore, and she has a healing factor like Wolverine, and she decides to be an organ donor. Mm-hmm. And so she just lets them take her organs and gives them she's a universal donor for everybody, and just lets her body regenerate the organs and just keeps giving them out. I mean, amazing idea, selfless act, but painful. I mean, like, oh my gosh, think about that for a moment. That's a hero, and that's a person who's a criminal. So there's that's the kind of stuff that's going on in this series, and that's the kind of thing that earned it a 5-star rating from me. Yes, I would show you some interior art. So we'll go ahead and this is Allison meeting her new professor, who was another superhero who was given up that she was like an armored superhero, and now she's just like handicapped, wearing has the one leg. She goes to a party and someone's drunk, got a girl drunk and kind of hitting on the girl, and she doesn't like it, and she basically picks the guy up by the throat and says, "Eh." uh, you know, what is this? Yeah. And she takes the girl home to her roommates, and the girl's safe, but it was not. Of course, she gets kind of a little bit in trouble for it, I guess you could say, with as social media shows her being out of context, being violent towards this individual guy. Um, little things like that are in the story, and it's interesting to me. It's very well written. Like I said, Ostertag's art is maybe it's not your standard superhero fare, but it doesn't need to be. It's just well done. It's this is from those were from the second book. Let me go ahead and show you some of the stuff from the first book. Um, from the very first few pages, so that you can kind of see that this is her early work with first few pages. We'll go ahead and go back here. I'll find that. You can see how much. Granted, this is also in color, but you can see how much her artwork has evolved and improved as well as it goes. Like I said, this was my library find this week. I'm going to try and visit my library on a regular basis and get a new library find for the independents every week or every other week from now on. Try and get some independent stuff from the libraries and support that. I think everybody should go to their library and find independent comics to read. And I'm also going to be doing some other um, new attempts at trying to get some content for the show. Going to be looking at buying some content for yeah, I'll think of it from different not conventions, but different retailers across the country that have underground comics, the stuff that isn't regularly found through Diamond, and bring that on the show as well. So I don't know exactly when I'll be able to start presenting that on the show. It depends on how soon I can get content. But we'll look for, hopefully, that'll be something for audiences to look forward to. And we got one more book for review for this week as far as stuff we've read, and that is Shapes #4, Cave Pictures Publishing. We've talked about this series before. It's about the kid whose father got trapped in the video game. His friends have now found him, and he's found his dad in the game, but his dad's kind of not completely all there, and they do sort of get his dad out of the game, but he's not. He's mentally not all there yet, and the story's not over yet. So there's more to be done, more story to be told. So I don't want to give it away, but it's good so far. And you know, I do recommend it. This, of course, I believe this came out a few weeks ago. It's actually came out on February 19th um, from Cave Pictures Publishing. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it's been a steady 3 to 4 out of 5 star book, and you know, I think it's got another 2 issues to go on the story, and before it goes to trade. And it's at first I thought it was going to be very much a Tron knockoff, but it's becoming its own thing. It's organically becoming its own thing, and I like it for what it is. So that is all for our reviews of stuff that came out that I've read. But there is a little bit more to talk about this week, and that is the stuff for our preview stuff. Now, I didn't get a really good chance to go through and mark everything through last week's previews like I wanted to. Like I said, I hadn't been run down this past couple weeks, this past week and a half or so from the weather. There's been a lot of good stuff in the book, though. I'm just going to do a quick touch base from a few publishers, and we'll call it a night after that. It's only going to be about another 5 or 10 minutes for the show, I think. But we'll start with Dark Horse, I believe. 2 of the books that I noticed from them. Oh, we will talk about Kickstarter because we only got a little bit less time than I thought. A little more time than I thought, rather. But we'll talk about what I found from Dark Horse that I thought was noticeable. And, that is Black Sod, The Collected Stories. That is on, let's see, page. Yeah, it's not showing it to me now. Of course it isn't. Just give me a second, folks. Page 99 of the catalog. This is the first volume. It is a 280-page book. It is $30, and it will be on sale in July. And it will feature new materials that have never been published in the English language, because this is a foreign book that has been adapted into English. For those of you who don't know, are not familiar with the Black Sod product. Think of it as kind of like a crime noir, Mike Hammer, Mickey Spillane detective, but he's a cat person type thing, I guess is the best way I could describe it to you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And another one is Baboon by Pow. And Baboon was listed on page 97 of the catalog. And this is about a baby baboon who fights his way back to its rightful spot in the animal kingdom in a wordless graphic novel by revered Spanish writer and artist Pow, author of Atlas and Axis. After the death of his adopted leopard mother, this orphan baboon wanders the wild in search of companionship and a sense of identity. Stumbling across the troop of baboons from which he was originally stolen, the baboon falls in love with the troop's head female. He is initially rejected, beaten, and discarded by the alpha baboon of the troop, and he was trained to fight and earn its respect in the animal kingdom. Now, this is a wordless graphic novel, these are very rare, so to speak, but it's a perfect thing to have for younger readers. It's like the Age of Reptiles series. It's like, oh geez, I can't remember the name of it. It was a comic book called Zzz, like snoring. That was done. That was kind of like a homage to Little Nemo in Slumberland. But these kind of comics that have no words in them, that's about the animals or about a small child or dinosaurs like Gone Wild or whatever, that have no words, or just maybe they might have sound effects, but no dialect or dialogue in them, are very good story mechanisms for not only younger readers but people who are dealing with learning disabilities, people who are learning new languages. You want to try and see if they understand story comprehension through visual dynamics. Very good educational product. So for teachers, this is a very good book to be looking at after, particularly for, I would say probably for, I've never seen the book. I don't know how graphic it is in terms of how realistic the animal fights are going to be. This is an animal kingdom thing, It could get violent, it could get gory. It depends on how realistic Powell, the artist Powell, depicts it. But because you can't, it's just like watching a nature program. You watch a nature program, sometimes you can see some disturbing stuff. So, but take that into consideration. But this is what you're going to get from this type of comic. I love that kind of stuff, so I'm looking forward to getting that, and I recommend people check that out. From Image, I think last time we talked about previews, I mentioned Adventure Man. I'm getting the second issue. I'm not sure if I mentioned the After Realm by Michael Avon Oeming last time, but this is hold on a second. Basically, another type of Asgardian type story. Loki is involved in tricking a character, and so now she has to, find a way to get Loki to do what needs to be done to protect her people. That's what the After Realm is. And Pulp by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's a Western, but it's also a little bit more than that. It's about a pulp writer in 1930s New York. And he's writing a story about a Wild West outlaw. But will he be? And he gets caught up in this situation where he gets pursued by bank robbers and Nazi spies and enemies from his own past. And it's kind of interesting because is he the guy that was the gunslinger that he's writing about in the book? He's a novelist writing his dime store novels in the 1930s, but was he actually the gunslinger that he's writing a book about? And is that past catching up to him in the 1930s now that he's an old man? So that's going to be coming in May. And I'm going to give you a quick preview of some of the artwork of that. Whoops. Let me see if I can get that not to fold. And Brubaker and Phillips are pretty reliable. They've had a very good track record together as a tandem at Image. So reliable, dependable products. I'm pretty sure that you'll get a good product from them if you order that. So I'm probably I'm going to probably check it out. If I don't know if I'm going to actually get that one, I'm going to check that one out when it comes out. The other two, I'm almost certain. I know I'm getting Adventure Man. The After Realm is about an 85-90%. Pulp's a 50-50 shot, maybe a little bit higher than that. But I'm interested, but I'm waiting until I see it in the store. IDW is our next publisher. Bermuda, I'm definitely getting Bermuda when that comes out. That is basically someone, a teenager who got stuck on an island in the Bermuda Triangle, and as you can see, there's all kinds of dinosaurs and cool stuff there. It's drawn by Nick Bradshaw. For those of you who don't know who Nick Bradshaw, he's kind of this hyper detailist artist, very similar to Arthur Adams, who was a very popular artist of the 80s and 90s. Still a popular artist to this day as well, Arthur is, but that was when Arthur was first coming out in the market and his style was first really blowing up the market. So I'm going to get in Bermuda. Chained to the Grave, I will be getting. I will not be getting these Marvel Action Avengers and Spider-Man books. The reason, though, I'm mentioning them is because people talk to me all the time and say, well, you never mentioned Marvel Comics. What would it take to get you to buy Marvel Comics? Marvel, psst, psst, pay the fuck attention, you bastards. You see the guy you got writing that Spider-Man book, Brandon Easton? Don't have him write some bullshit crap licensed book at IDW. Have him write your fucking regular titles, like I've told you to do since 2005, you motherfuckers. That's where you start. You got Chuck Bowers writing the Avengers one. Chuck's another person I know. He lives right here in Columbia with, I know Chuck. Put him on a damn book I actually want to see him on. When you put him on these books that I don't care about, I'm not going to get them. When you put them on the books I tell you I want them on, maybe I'll buy. It's not that hard to figure out. That's why I'm mentioning that. And that's not, it's not knocking IDW. I mean, IDW is trying. Thank you. Good job, IDW. At least you're trying. You're doing better than Marvel's doing. But, Marvel, hello. McFly. And then we got some of the independents. I don't remember exactly which publishers these are for off the top of my head. Suncatcher by Jose Pimienta. I'm going to get that. A Gift for a Ghost by Borja Gonzalez. I'm getting that. The Osiris Path. That is the book that is from that behemoth company that I mentioned earlier about the positive things going on in the industry. That's a new publisher. I'm definitely getting that book. And Stargazer, #1, is from, let's see, that's from Mad Cave Publishing. I'm getting that one as well. So that's cool, there's a lot of, and these are just a few, a scant few I could grab quick images off the net for, or, there's actually about 20 or 30 more books in the catalog that I wanted to actually show you guys. I just couldn't find, I just didn't have time and get them scanned in and get them posted for the show. Marvel otherwise didn't have anything to show me. And the only thing that really got my attention from DC this previews, unfortunately, it's cut off here a little bit, is Batman: The Adventure Continues. I'm sorry that the image is a little bit cut off there, but if you remember Batman the Animated Series from the 1990s, this is the comic that continues the stories from where that animated series left off. Now, this is my opinion. This should be DC's hottest book this quarter, maybe even for the year. It depends on if DC's playing it smart and keeps it as a standalone title that can be marketed for both young and older audiences alike. The only downside to this series right now is it's only 6 issues as a limited series so far. It's really just, let's see if I can, here we go. I mean, it's written by Paul Dini and Alan Burnett, who were 2 of the key guys for the TV show. Art by Ty Templeton, who did a lot of the Batman Adventures of the 90s comics. The cover is by Dave Johnson. That was the artwork that you just saw, the imagery of. I'll show it to you again. That is a Dave Johnson cover. There is a variant cover by Dan Mora, which is very Jim Lee-ish. I'll show it to you real quick. I don't like it, but that would be the where is it? The smaller imprint there. Some people would probably like that little kind of Jim Lee-ish look thing. I don't like it, but then I'm kind of sick of the whole image look. So I prefer the animated series look myself. It's gonna be $3.99. And it's also be available digital first, but whatever. I just hope that this is something that fans really gravitate to and send a message to DC, because I'm tired of Scott Snyder. I'm tired of death metal and all this junk that I've seen with Batman in recent year. This is hopefully going to be the thing I want to see. you know, so I'm hoping that's going to be something cool. Now I looked around thing, and I don't know, for some reason Far Sector doesn't seem to be in this book. And yes, I do know that the Generation One book is being advertised this month. I'm supposed to be doing about it. Oh, gee, get that flash forward book and find out about DC's future and G1, G2, G5, whatever. Don't you care? It's not that I don't care. I am just not going to promote that book particularly. I think everybody knows what it is, whether or not they're interested in it. Myself, I'll check it out when it comes out. If it's there on the shelf, I'll look at it when it comes out, and if I'm interested, I'll get it. Chances are I probably won't be. For me, G1 means the golden age, G2 is a silver, G3 is bronze, G4 is the age of crises, which would be anything from the Crisis of Infinite Earth up to last year, 2019, because it's just one crisis after another, reboot from 1985 to 2019. And then G5 should be whatever they're going to do with the new characters or whatever moving forward. That's how I would play it, but whatever. I don't know, and I don't really care what they do. But we'll see. But to me, this is separate from that. It's standalone, and I think it's going to be much stronger as a result. So hopefully, this will be the thing to get if you're into that. And that resolves all of our preview stuff for this episode. Mostly because I just didn't have time to do to present more. And I apologize for that. Next week, we will cover what I couldn't get covered on reviews this week, which will be, what have we got? Well, I can't really look it up because it's on the other computer. Join the Future #1. Let's see. There was two more #1s I got this week. Just a second. I'll be right back. Okay. Next week, we will cover Join the Future, Dryad, King of Nowhere. We'll be returning to Midnight Sky. We'll do a complete review of Oberon because I've been promising and I keep forgetting to do it. And I promised you guys a complete review on Prodigy by Mark Miller and Raphael Albuquerque, which I hadn't done yet. I'm going to do that. And then whatever else comes out next week. So it's going to be a big review show next week. And we'll also do some more other stuff as well. Now, for our Kickstarters, let's see what we've got. We have Fiona McCool and the Hound of Ulster. I'm gonna renew that page if you guys don't mind. There we go. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a fantasy book. It's done by Stephen Butler and his daughter. I'm going to go ahead and play their video for a moment and let them tell you their story. This is a book that I will be getting. They got 20 days to go on their package for their campaign. Let's see what they have to say.
Hi, I'm Stephen Butler, her dad.
And I'm Lily Butler, his daughter.
And together, we're the father-daughter team bringing you Fiona McCool and the Hound of Ulster, a rip-roaring, action-packed fantasy comic book that takes its inspiration from Celtic mythology and our favorite funny animal cartoons.
Fiona McCool and the Hound of Ulster tells the story of Fiona McCool, the daughter of a noble house who sacrificed everything so that she could live to one day free her people from the Red Witch Queen Maeve and her dark army of evil creatures.
Now, aiding Fiona in her quest is Cuchulainn, the mighty Hound of Ulster, the last of the Red Branch Knights who wasn't corrupted by the Witch Queen's magic. Together, Fiona and Cuchulainn set out with the goal to rescue all the denizens of the land who have been enslaved by the evil Queen Maeve and to overthrow her dark empire.
Their enemies are big and scary, with dark magic powers, but our heroes are resourceful and have a few tricks of their own. Who will win? Find out in the comic.
If you're a fan of fun, action-oriented comics that are good for all ages, or if you're a fan of fantasy storytelling, we think you'll really like Fiona McCool and the Hound of Ulster. We've done our best to make it the right blend of serious fantasy drama mixed with a good dose of lighthearted humor that will make you laugh out loud and want to find out what happens next. Whether you're already an avid reader or totally new to the world of comics, we believe this project is the perfect jumping-on point to a unique new world of adventure.
So this is where you come in. We need your help to get this book finished and in your hands. And with your financial support, you get awesome rewards in addition to the comic itself. Things like trading cards, exclusive prints, stickers, and even original art commissions. There's something unique for whatever level you like to pledge to.
You know, I've been drawing comics professionally for over 30 years now, and I've worked on a lot of titles for companies like Marvel, DC, Valiant, and Archie Comics. I've drawn Spider-Man, the Scarlet Spider, Punisher, Silver Sable, the Badger, and Sonic the Hedgehog, and have loved doing all of them. But when my daughter Lily approached me about 2 years ago and asked me if we too could work on a project together, well, that was when I got really excited because it meant that we would be developing our own characters and telling our own stories our way. I immediately thought of doing a funny animal book because we both love that kind of thing. And the whole Celtic mythology thing came about because we love epic fantasy, and it's actually our own heritage as descendants of Irish immigrants.
It's our first project together as a father-daughter team, so we decided to name our company Duo Publishing to be reflective of that.
We're really putting everything we have into this project, and we hope it shows in the final product. We truly hope you like what you see and will consider backing our Kickstarter campaign. With your help, we can make this fantasy dream become a reality.
Thanks for your support.
Erin go bra.
As you can see, the project's only at 34% of its goal. But we got 20 days to go, about 3 weeks. I'd like to see this one make it. Let's see what kind of rewards they offer. For $10, tier 1, you get a digital PDF copy of the book, and it's delivered in August of this year. For $20 or more, you get a digital PDF copy and a physical copy of the book, and one sticker and one trading card. For $30, you get a digital copy, a book, and 10-count trading card set. For $35, you get the digital copy and your name listed in the special thanks section, which, personally, I don't think that's a big deal, but whatever. Some people like that. Fiona McCool book, physical book, and a 6-count sticker set. $45 or more, you get the PDF, the comic, physical copy, the trading cards, and the stickers. For $55, you get all that plus some artisanal soap made by Christy Lee Soaps. Okay, that's different. And I guess they show you what the stickers look like there. Mm-hmm. Like you say, the art style is kind of like the Sonic comics. If you like the Sonic artwork from Sonic the Hedgehog, you'll like this stuff. I happen to really like this kind of stuff for what it is. It looks really interesting. I'm not really a big proponent on all the extra goodies. But whatever, I'll probably end up getting maybe a 10-card trading set just for the heck of it. But, I will back this at some point, and I'll let you guys know when I back it. And hopefully I'll let you know if this actually does get supported and funded. When I receive it, I'll let you guys know, and we'll do the unveiling of the prizes and stuff. So when I receive them, another one that I'm interested in is the Hated. This only has about 8 days left to go. It has been funded, and it will come out. It has about 8 days left to go. It's from Solid Comics. Basically, the premise is the Civil War ended in a truce, and there are now 2 Americas, one free and one slave. This is created by writer David F. Walker. For those of you who don't know who David Walker is, maybe you are familiar with his work. He's written, he wrote Cyborg for DC. He wrote, I think he wrote Nighthawk for Marvel. He wrote Project 13 for Dark Horse. He's done some other stuff for various publishers in the comic book industry. But let's hear what David has to say about his project.
Hey everyone, this is David F. Walker. Some of you might know me for my work at Marvel, DC. I'm the co-creator of Bitterroot with Chuck Brown and Sanford Green over at Image. I'm the co-creator of Naomi over at DC with Jamal Campbell and my good friend Brian Michael Bendis. And I am also the owner and publisher of Solid Comics. I started Solid Comics in 2019 to self-publish projects that I felt near and dear to my heart that I just wanted to have 100% control over. Last year, we published our first issue, which was One Fall. That was written by me and it was drawn by my good friend Brett Weldley. And for fans of One Fall, there's more coming in 2020. Trust me on that. I'm here today to talk about the latest project from Solid Comics, which is The Hated. The Hated is a Western that takes place in an alternate reality in which the Civil War ended differently. Instead of a victory for the North, there was a truce between the North and the South, resulting in 2 countries. There is the Union States of America and the Confederate States of America, and they don't really get along. The Confederate States, slavery is still legal. Union States, blacks are free. The story revolves around Araminta Free. Araminta Free is a bounty hunter who specializes in 2 different things. First is bringing Confederate war criminals to justice, but second, she specializes in finding the families of slaves and reuniting them with their free relatives in the North. Hated is inspired by my love of spaghetti westerns, those films that came out of Europe in the 1960s and 1970s by directors like Sergio Leone, Sergio Corbucci. That'll give you sort of a vibe of what Hated is all about, but it also has a good dose of blaxploitation in it too. If you are a fan of either spaghetti westerns or blaxploitation, you're going to love The Hated. This is a comic that I've written, and it's drawn by Sean Damian Hill, colors by Sean Struble. First issue of The Hated is done. It's completely 100% drawn. It is being colored as you watch this video, and it's going to be lettered by the end of the month. We're ready to go. We're ready to go to print. So basically what you are funding is the print and production costs for the first issue of The Hated. The comic is 30 full color pages plus a backup article. We've got a special article that explains sort of the history of this alternate timeline. So you are getting for your money, once again, a 30-page comic plus additional pages. So right now we're looking at about a 40 to 44-page comic. Thanks for considering supporting The Hated. If you can't back us financially, maybe you can share it on social media, let your friends and family know that we've got this exciting new comic coming out. And just, once again, thanks a lot for your support. I just want to say also special thanks to Farnell Newton, who provided the music for this video. Check him out, look him up online. He's an incredible musician, does some really great stuff. So again, thanks, Farnell.
And I think that's a pretty solid introduction to that series. Again, if you like westerns, if you like David said, blaxploitation type stuff, I'm kind of interested in it for the western type stuff. I'm interested in the whole alternate universe type, historical alternate realities type thing. I always like alternate histories type storytelling. So I'm probably going to back that. Again, let's look real quickly at the rewards. For $4, you can get the digital PDF, and that comes out in June of 2020. $8 or more gets you a PDF of The Hated and of One Fall, which was a book he mentioned previous that they come out with. I'm not familiar with One Fall at all. I don't know what it is. You also get a free PDF of spaghetti westerns. $8 or more, you can get the book, printed book, with a Kickstarter exclusive sticker, free PDF of Badass Mofo. I don't really like that nonsense, but okay, like I say, blaxploitation stuff. Okay, whatever. There's a B cover as well with no text on it, basically. For $12, you get the cover A and a digital copy, or B with a digital copy. There's a David Mack variant cover that you can get, a black and white limited edition cover, which is only available at Kickstarter or at conventions if there are any left after the Kickstarter. They're only printing 200 of that limited edition. They've got 32 backers of that through Kickstarter. They also have a retailer bundle for retailers. If you want to get 5 copies of the cover A wholesaler, you get 1 copy of cover B free with free shipping in the US for $15 or more. I don't, 5 copies. I don't know. I'm thinking about how that costs, because 15, 5, 6, you're getting 6 for $15. 6 goes in the 15. That's $250. If you're selling it for $4.99, yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. That's reasonable. There's quite a few variant numbers here, basically, and it shows you what the different covers are. But yeah, I don't know exactly which one I'll get. Probably just regular cover A. But no biggie. I'm not really concerned about getting a PDF for spaghetti westerns, but whatever. So those are two Kickstarters that I had noticed this week. There were two others that I had thought of mentioning last weekend, but they've both been fulfilled and have since come to their conclusion. So we're not going to discuss them. I contacted the parties that were running those campaigns, and they said there was no point. So unfortunately, I didn't have anything else to do that. So with that, we have come to pretty much a closure for the evening. I want to thank you for watching the show, and we will see you next week. We will review that stack of comics that I showed you that we'll talk about, and we'll review some more Kickstarter stuff. If you have any other questions, as always, you can reach me at Facebook at Lewis.BrightRaven, at DeviantArt.com/BrightRaven, here on YouTube at Quoth the Raven, Lewis BrightRaven. Email me questions at quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com, or if you must, LewisBrightRaven@yahoo.com. The Quoth Raven podcast is usually airing at Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, although there are sometimes episodes at other times of the week as well. And once again, in accordance with the new COPPA regulations, this episode of QTR was intended for ages 16 and up. And while some of the content we sometimes feature is kid-friendly, like that Kickstarter for the butlers that we just talked about with the Irish lass with McCool, Fiona McCool. The context of the episode is to address adults, to inform them of said content for them to research as consumers in service of their youth. There is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well, which, as you know, you had when I talked about Marvel. Rated TV 16 and up. So I will see you guys next week. Until then, have a good weekend. Hopefully, I'll feel a lot better. And thanks for watching. And until next time. And of course, my silly things.